Day 17. As I looked through the quest list today, it appeared to me that the only other large monster that there was to hunt was the Gendrome, which I would assume was the leader of the Gen prey I saw living within the dunes. That would be my target soon, but I felt that it may not be the best idea to go straight into it, and that, instead, I should focus on fighting the Gen prey first. Thankfully, there was a quest asking me to do just that, slay 10 Gen prey that had attacked a soldier and left them paralyzed. I headed to the dunes to do just that, as well as grab a couple Carapacian brains. It was over fairly quickly, as one would expect, and I managed to avoid getting paralyzed throughout the entire hunt. This may, however, be thanks in part to the help of Vind and Luna, who I noticed were particularly great at protecting me while I was carving materials from the Genprey. Any other Genprey around weren't really able to attack me at all. Instead of fighting the Gendrome tomorrow, I may go on another quest alone to give them the rest they deserve for that, and then, when we do fight the Gendrome, I may treat them to a meal from the proprietress. Day 18. Just as I expected, the Bernagao told me that fighting a Gendrome would be likely to bring me a step closer to my promotion, just as fighting a Cephadrome did. However, I did keep my word and allow Vind and Luna a break today for their good work yesterday, and I chose to go on an accounting quest to the dunes to both keep myself used to the climate of the dunes, and to get the Academy points that I could then use to pay for the meal I planned for the three of us to have tomorrow. Bringing back a meteor chunk for the Academy to research would definitely help achieve that, being worth 400, though I also brought back a Carapacian brain and some tropical berries. Day 19. Today would be the day that we go out and face the Gendrome, though, interestingly, we were joined by another feline by the name of Paralytic, a healer. Of course, it was still Vind and Luna that I was going to eat and go on the Gendrome hunt with, though Paralytic helped us out as well by taking on another quest to gather some unique ferns, and, unrelated to the quest, some other materials. I did hear, however, that Paralytic had some difficulty with Rhinoplos while trying to fish and ended up leaving earlier than they were wanting to. Meanwhile, I took Vind and Luna to eat, and we had some Laranot salami rolls with spicy stubborn sriracha sauce. Though I'm not typically one for spicy food, generally preferring things on the mild side, I figured that being able to have better stamina would be very helpful, as I dodged quite a lot. Besides, it was pretty good, so I could put up with the spice. I did end up with a small stomach ache, but I think it may have been from eating too much rather than the food itself. We headed off to the dunes to fight our first Gendrome, and despite a rough start in which I swear I saw my life flash before my eyes as I collapsed to the ground paralyzed, Vind and Luna were able to get me up to my feet again. In Area 4, I believe I dodged better than I've ever dodged before, falling into a sort of rhythm. I managed to avoid the Gendrome's bites, and before I knew it, it was limping. It was honestly incredible how fast it was. We chased the Gendrome down to Area 3, where I forced it down to the ground with a successful mount and slayed it. That hunt went way better than I could have ever hoped for. Day 20. After having spent so much time in the dunes, I was a bit tired of it and decided that now may be a good time to check out other villages and see what sorts of things I could help them out with. The first village I decided to go to was Kokoto, which I quickly learned seemed to have many hunters and, in fact, seemed to draw in many hunters from other places. They weren't necessarily the friendliest people, calling me things like scrawny and monster bait, but it was clear there was quite a lot of skill among them. I did wonder for a moment if the Master of Style, the guy who made me agree that I was less than dirt on my first day in this world, may have hailed from Kokoto. He seemed he would fit right in. Anyway, the chief was dubbed the Hero of Kokoto. There were two people who called themselves the Hell Hunters who supposedly hunted elder dragons, and there was the legendary gunsman. There was a Poogie there too that I befriended like I did Cotton, and named Dandelion in order to go with the plant theme, and also named the Poogie after a tougher plant since Kokoto seemed to have tougher people. Despite the tougher feel of the village, I was offered a home to stay in there that apparently belonged to another hunter who wasn't there at the moment. I was grateful for the place to stay, though part of me wondered who that hunter would be, or what they were off doing for so long that the chief just allowed me to use their house. The chief gave me a quest to slay 10 Velociprey in the nearby Verdant Hills, and that was the quest I accepted despite never having gone to the Verdant Hills or seeing Velociprey before. I brought Vintaler and Puerlis since I figured it wouldn't be too difficult to quest, and they were the least experienced Palicos of the three. Just before I left, I also learned that another quest that may get me closer to a promotion would entail hunting some beasts in the Jurassic Frontier, but it didn't really seem like there were any large monsters to hunt in the Jurassic Frontier, so I decided to keep that information in the back of my mind. I was also told they wouldn't help me figure out what quests I should take once I started to take on 3-star quests, But that was fine by me. I didn't mind taking things my own pace, doing whatever quest made sense to me. I headed off to the verdant hills to slay the 10 Velociprey that were scaring the villagers, harvesting their materials as I typically did, as well as some other materials in the location. One interesting thing I noticed was that I found Kutku scales. Scales from a monster I had never seen or heard of before. I suppose it is a monster that I should expect to meet sometime in the future within the verdant hills. Also, an unrelated thing from that quest I want to mention, while I was hunting the Velociprey, there was just this Bullfango chilling there the whole time. I'd heard before now that Bullfango were kind of aggressive, but no, that Bullfango, the only one I'd ever seen up to this point, was just chilling there, sniffing around. Day 21. Today, the Kokoto chief gave me a quest asking me to prove myself by dealing with the Velocidrome, the leader of the Velociprey I had faced yesterday. I actually remembered to equip my talisman today, and I forged an attack jewel to put on my hat. Still bringing Vinz and Puerilus with me, I went to see what this Velocidrome, this creature that I was tasked to hunt to prove my worth to this village famous for hunters, was all about. It is safe to say it was a bit of a letdown. It was basically a Gendrome, but the only thing more interesting about it was its coloration. It was generally the same shape and size, and it also led smaller monsters, but it didn't have much else going for it. It didn't have paralysis-inducing fangs, it didn't have the bouncy kicking motions that the Great Macau had, and it didn't have the poison I'd imagine an Iodrome, if such a thing exists, would have. The only thing I can really give it credit for was actually being able to pin me down, but other than that, it went down pretty quickly. When the Kokoto chief suggested I may have been scared of such a creature, I should have told him I expected more of a challenge from Kokoto. This is the monster I'm supposed to prove my worth with? You doubted my skills that much? I feel insulted. Anyway, on another, more positive note, while I was off fighting a Velocidrome, Luna went to gather some abyssal mushrooms, which ended up leading to a trade deal with Jumbo Village. Day 22. Today I was talking with some villagers, and there was somebody who mentioned that if I completed a hub quest that involved getting some tropical berries, I may get access to more ingredients with the proprietress. As much as I wanted to take that quest on, I still haven't met any hunters I could hunt with there, and I know that those quests are intended for multiple hunters. Maybe I could try soloing it another time, but right now, I decided I would just continue to do some tasks around Kokoto. The quest I took was actually a nighttime quest, so I headed out then. I must say, I really did like being able to look up at the stars over the verdant hills at night. It looked like there were some purple stars, which I liked since purple is my favorite color. Anyway, the actual quest was to slay 10 Bullfango that were causing some problems for some lumberjacks, but I wanted to complete the subquest first, which involved breaking the crest on Velocidrome's head. By the time I did that though, the Velocidrome was very injured, so I decided that instead of leaving it injured, I would just finish the job and kill it. After that, taking out the Bullfango necessary to fulfill the primary quest was pretty easy. Day 23. Today I decided that the name of the game would be Divide and Conquer in order to wrap up the quests we gained in Kokoto and return to Burna to do some of the quests we still had in the Jurassic Frontier and the Dunes. The 4 of us would split into 3 teams, even though 2 of those teams would only have 1 person, and one of those teams, Vintaler, would return to Burna ahead of us. Luna, Puerilus, and I all decided to take on quests in the Verdant Hills, with Puerilus and myself slaying another Velocidrome and doing some accounting, and Luna fishing. Kind of funny that Luna went fishing instead of either myself or Vintaler. After all, thus always must we fish. After arriving in Burna, Vind went on a quest to the Jurassic Frontier later to gather some Academy points, essentially a smaller version of accounting missions we had done before. Day 24. Luna did a last little bit of gathering in the Verdant Hills, and the rest of us did some gathering in the Jurassic Frontier in order to welcome ourselves home yet again. Hello everybody, it's me, Ember, and I'm just here to remind you guys that if you want to make a Palico, you could do that through the link in the description that leads to a Google form. If you want to hunt with me, you can join the Discord, let me know, and we could talk about when a good time for that would be. And aside from that, like if you liked, dislike if you disliked, subscribe, ring the notification bell, do whatever it is you want. If you would like to leave a comment, that would be greatly appreciated. I love reading comments and responding to as many as I actually have a response for. Sometimes it's just like, I don't know how to respond to this, but I read them all. Anyway, thank you all for being here. That's the end of this video, and I'll see you next one. Goodbye!